All right, tonight we're going to post-war London, 1949, and going right here to 10 Rillington Place. So this is the apartment here, and this is a request from Martin, I think. And this one's really interesting. This is a really interesting case. It is obviously a lot older, 1949, but this is the setup here. They're still there. These little apartments, you got 3 levels. The first floor is what they call the basement level, and then second and third. So that's where we're going to tonight, and that is 10 Rillington Place. It's actually in Notting Hill.
Oh.
So like Hugh Grant. Wait.
Yeah, great movie.
Hugh Grant.
Yeah.
I drove past there on a tour when I went across the pond.
Did you see Hugh Grant and Julia Roberts?
I did not.
Very cute.
But guess what, guys? I am going to Mexico next year.
Nice.
God, why?
Yeah, for a wedding.
Fun.
Dude, who is doing weddings there anymore? Holy shit. We just did a headline. They went to a wedding and like half of them were drugged.
Well, if it happens, it happens. Like, at least
Have
it'll
a great
be
time.
Yeah,
fun
we're going to have to look for a new co-host probably.
Oh, man. What were we just talking about? Notting Hill?
Post-war London, 10 Rillington Place, top floor flat. This is is it Notting Hill?
Notting Hill, yeah.
This is Notting Hill. A 25-year-old Timothy Evans and his lovely wife, which I've never met anyone with this name, or I don't think I've ever done a story or even heard of a name like this, but her name is Beryl. Beryl.
Wasn't there a Hurricane Beryl?
That's a very old-fashioned name.
Oh, yeah. That was the hurricane's name, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Like one that we had to worry about, right?
Yeah.
Is that one of the ones we hurricationed?
I think so.
Was it spelled the same, though?
I think so.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we had, I want to say Matthew.
Oh, that was before I got here.
We had Florence.
I was here for that one. Oh, no, I went to Gatlinburg for that one.
Yeah, Matthew's the one we had to leave for, right? Or
we had to leave for a couple. We left for like 3.
Yeah, that was like, we left like 3 years in a row. It was like really bad. And then we haven't.
Don't jinx it. Don't.
And then
we're not off to a good start this season.
We left that one time, and then it wasn't that bad when we went.
That was Florence.
Yeah.
I think that one was
we were
Florence.
recording in your mom's house. Well, not her house, but the little house we were staying at. We recorded in there. And it was hot, and you had just gotten Hubble.
Yeah, that sounds right.
All right, here's the apartment back in the day. You see a little baby carriage down here.
Oh, yeah, a little pram.
Yeah. Timothy Evans and his lovely wife, Beryl. All right. This is old Timothy right here.
Oh, he looks like a lovely chap.
He looks like he'll sell you a car. A lemon. He looks like he'll sell you a lemon.
I was going to say he works in accounting.
Well, actually, it's, this is Beryl.
Beryl. Wow.
She's pretty. I mean, like, the hairstyle is definitely a little bit older, but she's pretty.
Okay.
I'm sure that if there was a modern couple, like, you would think differently.
They look what's the word? I don't want to say the word
British.
Geeky, but wholesome.
Yeah, that's the word I was thinking of too.
All right. We'll settle on that. That sounds nice.
All right, Timothy and his 18-year-old wife, Beryl.
She's 18?
How old is he?
He's 25. I just said that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Man, it must be nice to have an 18-year-old. I'm just kidding. Those girls are crazy. 18 years old, you got to be fucking crazy to be 18.
There are girls on my basketball team that are 18. Like, I couldn't imagine. I can't even believe that when I was younger, I was like, I want to be married by the time I'm 25. And now that I'm in my 30s, I'm like, F that. What was I even thinking? Like, why did I think that?
All right.
Wow. She's definitely trying to look older.
Not even a year ago. So this story is in 1949. Not even 1 year ago, Beryl, and again, that's her name, Beryl Evans had given birth to their daughter, Geraldine. And now she's pregnant again. Oh, Lord. You're going to have 2. Holy
Irish
Jesus.
twins.
In October of 1948, Beryl gave birth to their daughter, Geraldine. The couple, they are in dire straits. They are having financial difficulty like a lot of people did post-war. All right, this is 1949. And as we'll talk about, this 25-year-old Timothy, he's not the brightest crayon in the box. Have you heard that said about you?
I have.
Said about you, Jen?
We say that about
not to my
Hubble.
face.
Anyway, so this couple, they are having some financial difficulties. So it's different from America, right? So America, post-war, we were accelerating.
We were thriving, man.
Thriving, the New Deal and all this shit. But in the UK, it pretty much wiped out their entire economy.
Everything was rubble, too. They literally had to rebuild.
In Notting Hill, especially, right down the street, there was apartments that were bombed. So not only is the economics completely different over there and everyone's struggling, but now she pregnant again. God, no, she like a baby farm.
The New Deal was the other Roosevelt, I think, but
whatever.
I'm just.
No, the New Deal was FDR.
It was before the war,
but before the war was the same FDR. You said it was the other Roosevelt.
Yeah,
there was only two Roosevelts.
It was
Teddy.
Yeah, it was Teddy.
No, it was FDR.
It was FDR.
Okay.
What are you saying? Okay,
but, okay.
That's the truth.
Okay.
Okay.
I was wrong. What do you want me to say?
Wow, you just giving up.
You guys both
I think
really
he wants you to apologize is what he really wants, but don't give in.
Well, my sure is like, I seem sure, but it's usually like 50-50.
Oh, you're right. The New Deal was FDR.
All right, well.
I'm sorry. Do you wish that I put up more of a fight?
Yeah, I kind of do, but whatever. It's bad enough that Timothy's job is barely feeding the family. He's not, as you would say, in finance. He is...
Oh, he looks like an accountant, though.
It's bad enough that Timothy's job is barely feeding the family. He is not in finance, as you thought. He is a produce delivery man. Also,
hey, someone's got to do it.
Also, he's got that taste for the sauce. He likes to drink.
Oh.
Like someone else on this podcast. He likes to drink.
You leave my habits out of this.
He likes to drink.
He's not talking about you.
I'm talking about
staying hydrated.
He likes to drink, and lately he's been hitting that bottle like Diddy be hitting Ross. Oh, Jesus.
It's an expensive habit,
Diddy. So apparently Rick Ross and Diddy were... During this time, the family is struggling. This is right before Christmas. This is in November. The family is struggling. He is not bringing home the bacon. He is not bringing home the money. She is preg again. This is trying times for this young couple. The couple was also fighting. Remember, they're at the top flat of this apartment. The neighbors are constantly hearing the shouting and the yelling, and eventually the loud thuds, when he pushes her, pregnant her, against the wall and against the floor. They're hearing all this abuse through the walls.
He's not good.
Unfortunately for Timothy and his wife, abortion is not the answer, because in the UK, abortion was illegal.
Well, especially in the 40s, it wasn't legal in many places, if any.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing. You got another mouth. You can barely feed the baby mouth that's already out. You can barely feed your wife. She is getting pregnant all the time. I mean...
all the time. It's happened twice.
What are you going to do? You are screwed, and you cannot abort this new baby. You are screwed. Abortion is illegal. The fighting begins to ramp up. Abortion is illegal. They are stressing out. There has got to be another option for Timothy. He cannot go on like this. His job is not paying that well, and plus he is teetering on getting fired. All right, he nearly loses his job, and this is right before Christmas. All right, weeks pass from then. Christmas comes and goes, and the next time we see Timothy is when he walks into a police station in Merthyr in Wales. He quit his job. He sold all the family furniture, and he walks into the police station and says, "I'm Timothy Evans. The police may be looking for me. I killed my wife and my baby girl, and I stuffed them down the drain at 10 Rillington Place."
What? Oh, no.
I said,
he killed everybody.
He says that, I know you guys are looking for me. It's been a few weeks. I've been living with my aunt. I killed my baby girl and my wife, Beryl, and I shoved them down the drain in my apartment at 10 Rillington Place.
Wow.
So
why do people try to stuff body parts down pipes?
So I know that was a short story, but I'm just kidding.
Like, wow, that's short.
All right. If you log on here and you know this story, please don't ruin it. All right. Timothy was immediately arrested. He was put on death row, and on March 9th, 1950, he's hanged for the murder of his wife and child. He went to the gallows begging for his life, saying that he didn't do it.
What?
He didn't kill him.
But he went to the police station.
But he just said that he
things.
did. I'm so confused.
He went to the gallows saying that he is an innocent man. So let's find out.
False confession? Doesn't sound like it.
On this episode, let's find out if Timothy Evans was an innocent man or not. Either way, he was hanged for the murder of his wife and baby. So,
oh boy.
On the next episode, you guys don't even like me anymore.
We love you. Stop.
No one even is on here talking.
Oh, please.
Let's talk about this couple, and then we'll decide if he did it.
Okay.
Timothy Evans met Beryl Thorley in January 1947 on a blind date. Would you rather go on a blind date or a deaf date?
I just saw this Seinfeld episode.
Jim, what would you rather go on, a blind date or a deaf date? I know blind means not that, but I'm talking about with a blind person or with a deaf person.
I know what you're asking.
See, if you go with a blind person and you start dating them, you can let yourself go, let the house go. Just kidding.
Desiree says blind. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know that I would maybe say blind because it might be easier to communicate. Like,
I don't sign.
I don't know sign language.
I would say deaf. This may sound really fucked up, and this may be way crossing the line, but I think how deaf people talk is sexy. Like how the women talk, because they still talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty sexy.
Oh, okay.
I just do. I know that may be over the line, but that's just how I always thought that was.
Well,
I get a weird fetish, I guess.
Okay.
It's not weird. I mean, like, you like what you like.
Weird. It is weird. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not trying to like make fun of them or whatever. I just it's like the same reason I like raspy voices too.
Oh God, Courtney fucking Cleany. You think her voice is hot? That's so gross. Just a piece of trash.
I wasn't even talking about courts.
Oh, okay. Courts.
All right. Timothy Evans met Beryl Thorley January 1947 on a blind date. 2 years later, he walks into a police station and says he murdered her and their child. Timothy also walked with a limp, and as I said, he was a produce delivery man, which had to be its own challenge because it took him a while to walk and he didn't have transportation, right? I do like Mariah Carey's voice.
John actually loves Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
Like, literally has the thing for her.
Yeah, I used to have all of her albums. Like the Rainbow album was my favorite. Like, seriously. I do like her voice. I think she's the only one that can hit those high notes like that. I don't know. Timothy has absolutely no education. He's illiterate. He spent his childhood years in the hospital with a chronic foot infection. Everyone who knows Timothy Evans will tell you that he has the mind of a 12-year-old child.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Are we talking mind of a 12-year-old child as in like, the average male though, or, what are we talking about here?
I mean, no, not like he's mentally
slow.
Yeah, he's slow.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah. So the couple married later that year after they met, September 1947. They were really happy. Everything was going great. They had a good future. She grew up in a really good family. They were rooting for the couple. They thought they would go far. And at the time, he was 22 and she was 18. They had only been married for 2 years when the tragic events at 10 Rillington Place occurred in late 1949. After getting married, the couple lived with Timothy's family, although his mom is a mean person, as you'll see. They lived with his family.
That's a common thread, though.
What do you mean?
Like, for people that end up committing murders, they oftentimes have a not so great home life.
No, so I don't know about his home life, but I do know that
his mom was mean.
Well, maybe not even mean. So after he moves, after the murder or whatever happened, he goes to his aunt's house. The mom actually writes a letter to her sister, and I'm just gonna read this verbatim. This is in the letter, right? Quote, I have not seen Beryl or the baby for a month. There is some, and it's all misspelled. The mom is obviously not intelligent either or illiterate. There is some mystery, completely misspelled, about him. I never want to see him as long as I live. Everywhere I go, people asking for him for money he owes them. I am ashamed to say he is my son. That's from his mother, Thomasina. She sent her sister, Timothy's aunt, that letter. And that's
crazy.
But then again, she knows he's on the lam for murder, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean, he killed the baby's dead, right? So I don't know. All right.
Yeah.
So we know how they met. We know Timothy walked into the police station. We know that he stuffed him down a drain. So let's see if there's any validity in when he says he's an innocent man. What could be the alternative, right? Like how could he be innocent?
Right. Who else?
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's talk about the first confession.
Okay.
Now, he did say that he had killed his wife, and according to him, that is true. However, it wasn't murder. The first confession when he goes into the police station is that the couple was fighting, and there's this new baby coming along, and abortion is illegal. So they got to figure out something. He says that he meets a man in a cafe who sold him some abortion pills. So basically like morning after pills.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know that was a thing back in the 40s.
Yeah.
I guess so. I mean, here's the thing with Roe versus Wade or whatever.
That doesn't have any effect in Great Britain. That's a United States case.
I'm saying no matter what, like if you ban something, there will be a black market for it, you know?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So anyway, Timothy says he worked a long day. He came home from work and oh shit, my wife is dead on the floor. She found the pills that I had gotten from this guy, and she swallowed all of them. She was supposed to take them all week. She just took them all, dropped dead. He said he found his wife dead on Tuesday, the 8th of November. He said he had to get rid of the body. So he stuffed her down the drain. All right. How this works, and I'll show you how this works right quick. So they didn't have running water. So what you're looking at here is what's known as a wash house.
Like an outhouse?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's an outhouse. And
so that's where they were stuffed?
He said on the 8th of November, he found his wife dead.
How can you say that you're innocent? I don't know.
Yeah. Who else would have motive?
So let's say he didn't. All right. He then said on the 10th, 2 days later, he gave his daughter away to a, quote, unnamed good Samaritan, end quote. That's his first confession. So the baby's okay. He didn't murder his wife, from what he's saying. And, he just disposed of her body because, abortion is illegal,
Mm-hmm.
And he just bought abortion pills and that's what she died on. And he didn't know what to do. Remember, he's got a mind of a 12-year-old. All right. Also, remember, he went into the police station. He walks into the police station, and he's executed 2 months later.
That's quick.
It's a really quick
process. A really quick turnaround.
It's a really quick turnaround is what I'm trying to say. So he is sitting on death row at this point, and he starts to realize the gravity of his situation. So he's going to make a second confession. He's going to, redact the first one? No, what do you call it?
Recant.
He's going to recant his first confession and make a second one. All right. The second one's even crazier. He says, okay, you know what? I didn't meet a guy at a cafe. I was lying. Okay. That's not what happened. Here's what happened. There was a ground floor neighbor. This guy is an older guy. He's a World War I vet, and he lives down in the basement floor with his wife. And this guy, he trained as a doctor, and he was even a reservist in World War II as a doctor. He had medical books and all this stuff. Anyway, he was hearing these problems upstairs, the thuds, the fighting. And he saw Beryl with the, quote, problem, end quote, growing inside of her, and he could help. He could give her a back alley abortion because he doesn't want them to stress. And he knows this is really stressful. So this is what he's saying. He's basically blaming his neighbor, right?
Okay. He's going through a whole lot of explanations.
Mm-hmm. He said that this guy, his whole name was John Reginald Christie, and his wife, this guy tells Timothy that he could abort the baby. Timothy says no, but Beryl was adamant about it and wanted to proceed with the operation. All right. When Timothy returned home from work on November 8th, this guy was waiting for him at the bottom of the staircase. Now, this is what Timothy's telling the police. He says this guy, John Reginald, says, quote, "It's bad news. It didn't work," end quote. Upstairs, they both walk upstairs, and that's where Timothy finds Beryl lying on their bed, dead. And according to this guy who performed this back alley abortion, she died from septic poisoning.
Oh, no.
Baby Geraldine was alive and unhurt in her cot, and the nice man downstairs, the older gentleman, said, "Listen, the police are going to think either there was an abortion attempt or you murdered your wife. You need to sell all of your furniture and leave for London immediately. I can give the baby Geraldine, to an unnamed couple in East Action, London." All right. So that's his second confession.
Okay.
So where are you guys at now? That's completely different.
Very.
All right.
Yeah.
But I wonder,
kind of hard to keep up.
If he's still just like, is he confused? Is he just lying? You know, like none of it's necessarily making him out to look like a good dude, trustworthy dude.
So you said it's hard to keep up with. Let me just back up, recap it really quick. Couple going through arguments, post-war London. Mama gets pregnant again. They can't feed it. They want an abortion. The wife ends up dead, or she's murdered or something. He says he stuffed her down a drain into the wash house after he bought some pills from this random guy at a cafe. Second confession, he says that the downstairs neighbor, a nice old man who lives with his wife, performed a back alley abortion. She died, and then the baby's safe in both scenarios. That's where we're at. All right. Mm-hmm. Either way, this guy is still sitting on death row. Okay. Confession 3. All right. December 2nd, the police search for the body because they still haven't found the body. Right. They look into the wash house and they find the body behind a stack of timber boards. All right. That's a lot different than being stuffed down a drain. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
The body was behind a stack of timber boards wrapped in a green tablecloth. And here's
not a blue tablecloth, a green tablecloth.
And here's the thing. It wasn't just Mama. It was also baby Geraldine. Both are now killed. So at this point, one is definitely a murder if the other is not. Mm-hmm. If she did swallow all these pills, something happened to the baby.
Right.
You know, the baby wasn't getting an abortion. You know what I'm saying? So there is at least a murder here. Mm-hmm. Okay. So now he's got a lot of explaining to do. He was upset.
Lucy, you have some splaining to do.
I was thinking that too, Jen.
Sorry, I had to.
I'm glad you did.
All right. This is from the Parliament. The Parliament.
In the Notting Hill police station, Timothy was confronted with the tablecloth and the tie that had been used to strangle his daughter. He then made a third statement to police in which he now claimed he and Beryl had gotten into a fight over money. In a fit of rage, he had strangled her with a piece of rope. He hid her body in the unoccupied middle flat, strangled Geraldine the following night, then put both bodies in the wash house.
Oh my gosh, so it was on 2 different nights, so it's like he was really in it. Like, it wasn't like, oh no, what am I gonna do? He was like, shoot, I killed my wife and my unborn child. Well, I guess I gotta kill this baby too, because I can't take care of her without a mother around.
Yeah, this is him
like,
getting...
The fuck?
This is him being brought to the death chamber right here.
Oh, he's like, oh man, I fucked up. That's what that face says to me.
But you remember, he goes to the gallows claiming he's an innocent man.
Well,
right?
I mean, he's confessing every time, just a slightly different story. Like, he's not saying he didn't do it.
Right.
The trial goes relatively quickly, and it begins January 11th, 1950. The trial is at the Old Bailey Courthouse. The prosecution must rely on neighbor accounts and witnesses because they know at this point he did it, because he's confessed, he's changed his confession, but they have to really drive that point home.
Mm-hmm.
Timothy is now claiming, so his fourth reiteration, that he didn't do it at all and the downstairs neighbor did it. Quote, Christie done it. That's what he kept saying. John Reginald Christie, that guy. So they bring this guy, Christie, to court, and now he's an older man. They put him on the stand. Remember, he was a World War I veteran.
Mm-hmm.
He has bad eyesight, and he could barely speak because he barely survived a gas attack during the war. And now he has to testify with his wife that I know
Haven't
Timothy.
this man been through enough?
I know Timothy, not very well. Yes, I was trained in the medical field, but I didn't perform any abortion. His wife gets on, I think her name is Ethel. The wife gets on the stand saying night after night, we've heard the fighting and the thuds of him pushing her on the floor, and she's pregnant and he's pushing her and he's beating her, and just the constant fighting. And all the neighbors said the same thing. The wife, Ethel, says when this happened on the 8th, when Beryl was supposedly murdered, I'm with my husband. We're just this old couple. We're here, and on the 8th, November 8th, she remembers several, quote, loud thuds, end quote, and then it went quiet. So basically the woman was screaming and then it went quiet, right? Timothy takes the stand in his own defense, which is never a good thing to do. I'm pulling this from that place where they wear those stupid wigs still.
I hope you never have to get pulled into a parliament case because they'll pull that immediately.
They'll what?
They'll pull that quote immediately.
Yeah, probably.
Those stupid wigs.
Timothy took the stand in his own defense, the only witness called by his defense. Again, he denied killing Beryl and Geraldine, sticking to the version of his events in his second confession. Timothy further testified that he only became aware of his daughter's death when told about it by the police. Asked why he had confessed to killing his family, Timothy said, "When I found out about my daughter being dead, I was upset, and I did not care what happened to me then."
So what do you guys think? So
I don't believe him. He is not trustworthy.
Within 35 minutes, the jury decided his fate.
I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like you're going to drop a bomb on us in a little bit. I don't know.
I don't. I think that it's wrapped up. This guy's a psychopath. He's done.
You think I'm going to blitz attack you here?
Yes. Blitzkrieg, yes.
Blitzkrieg.
On March 9th, 1950, still claiming he was innocent, he was brought to the gallows at Pentonville Prison, where he was hanged until he was dead. Life went on.
Wow.
The Christies went back to their normal lives. Ethel, the wife, began suffering from rheumatism, which, do you know what that is?
Arthritis.
Oh.
Like rheumatoid arthritis?
Rheumatoid arthritis. New tenants came and went into Timothy Beryl's apartment, and life goes on. The Christies moved out.
Obladi oblada.
The Christies ended up moving out 3 years later, and their apartment was also rented out, and then more bodies were discovered.
More bodies?
In a
How many more?
There it was. In a hollowed alcove in the Christie's kitchen wall were the bodies of 3 women. A 4th woman was found under the floorboards in the sitting room. The 3 women in the kitchen had all been sexually assaulted and had shown signs of carbon monoxide poisoning, and all 4 victims had been strangled to death.
So,
oh my goodness. So was he taking the fall for this guy and then was like, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. And he got killed for it. And it's actually the renter.
So this is John Christie, one of London's most notorious depraved serial killers. All right. Here's what
I am surprised.
Well, shoot.
At that ending.
There was a fourth woman, Ethel, his wife, found under the floorboards.
Oh, his wife was one of the victims.
Mm-hmm. The wife, or perhaps he, had written her sister to tell her that she had rheumatism and couldn't write and was, quote, leaving on vacation. Also, in the back garden, many more skeletons were found. Ruth Forrest, 21, and Muriel Eady, 34, both went missing in 1944 before the murder of Beryl. The police were literally stepping on the bones and didn't notice. And it's not like they were hidden, okay? If you want to read this quote. This was in the wash house, the back by the gate.
More details of ineptitude came to light. In 1949, children playing in a bombed-out site near Rillington Place discovered a human skull, later identified as Muriel Eady's, and a human leg bone was propping up the garden fence.
John Christie is one of UK's most sadistic serial killers from that era.
Wow.
And he did say, I'll help you get rid of this problem. And Timothy was at work. He came home and found his wife dead. And then John Christie, this nice old doctor, said, don't worry, I'll take care of Geraldine. I'll send them to a good Samaritan couple for you. Both baby and mama were strangled to death. An abortion wasn't even performed. He had raped Beryl while Timothy was working and then strangled both. Now this guy, Timothy Evans, was hanged for this, okay?
So
because all these bodies weren't found 3 years after he was hanged.
Right.
From the Parliament regarding Timothy Evans' executions, the first, and this case is still highly discussed in law school and stuff like that because all the misconnections. Did you see that coming, Jen?
I definitely did not.
You remember, this guy has the mind of a 12-year-old. So does Brendan Dassey. You know, there was South Carolina had just executed a man, I think last week, who now supposedly was innocent. This just happened. I don't know if you heard about it. Or the guy who confessed that this guy, a black gentleman who was just put to death in South Carolina, was not even at the crime scene when it happened, and he was just put to death. So nothing's changed. Okay, nothing has changed.
Well, that's the thing about executions is that, like, once it's done, it's done. You can't undo it. And, I mean, you guys know how I feel about executing people.
Yeah.
But
I'll read this thing, but I'll ask a question so that you can answer. So if this guy is one of the, kind of most prolific killers, did he move out of the apartment and they found it and he was still alive?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Or I was wondering if he
killed his wife, moved out, and then
he was caught.
Yeah. So I didn't go into, I'm just doing this case. I didn't do this whole serial killer, but
I hope we do.
John Reginald Holiday Christie, born 1899. He died 1953 at age 54, and he was executed. So they executed him after they found all his bodies.
Why did he move? He probably could have gotten away with it.
Yeah, if it wasn't for those meddling kids.
From the Parliament regarding Timothy Evans' execution, the first statements made by a number of workmen to the police and backed by timesheets, workmen who happened, by the most extraordinary coincidence, to be working in this fatal house over this critical week, showed the following things. First, they showed that workmen were going in and out of the wash house, where the bodies were said to be. In between the 8th and the 10th, that they cleaned it out on the 11th. They said that there could not have been bodies in the wash house at that time.
So remember, all four confessions, he was adamant that he killed her on the 8th and brought her body down there, and that's where they found it. But these workmen say they were there on the 11th. And there was no way in hell there was a body there.
They said
So it's almost like he coached him on it.
No, this is the misconnection. Like, you put this guy to death, and then you're like, how do we miss that?
They didn't follow
That
up
is
on it.
such a, that isn't even, it's not even logical.
Right.
They said that there could not have been bodies in the wash house at that time. It follows inescapably, if that evidence is true, that Evans must have been lying. It could not be true that he murdered his wife on the 8th and his baby on the 10th and carried them to the wash house, because the wash house was cleaned up by these workmen on the 11th.
Not only that, his first confession can be thrown out, because he said remember, he goes to the police and says he put his wife and the daughter in the drain. Okay. The drain, not like in your apartment, but the actual drainage outside. Mm-hmm. It takes at least 3 men to lift that manhole. That was from the Parliament. It said that at least 3 men are required to lift it because it's so heavy. So how could he do that by himself? You know, I mean, they were never in the drain, right? They were in the wash house. But he first went into the police station and said he put them in the drain. He couldn't have lifted that. So the first confession should be out. The second and third should be out, because it wasn't the 8th that he did this. The bodies weren't even in there until, way after that. In fact, what it was is, yes, she was dead on the 8th. But she was in John Christie's apartment, hidden in the walls, and then he moved her down to the wash house after, the workmen left. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed. We'll be back tomorrow for some more fun. But until next time, good night, you lovely, lovely people.
Kind of run this shit.